It's always fun to open Lightroom and find that there have been some updates made to the program. I love it. I do miss the days when you could just buy Lightroom or Photoshop and download it to your desktop and have it forever. But I have to say, getting updates is a game changer. And yeah, it costs you money every month, but you also get the newest version all the time. So there is something to be said for that. So we'll leave that right there. But the latest update that I've noticed is in color profiles. Color profiles, at least for me, is something that I did not use for a long time when I was beginning as a photographer. I just didn't realize it was there and that it was something that I could change. So maybe that's new to you too, and if it is, well, welcome to the world of color profiles. Let me show you quickly what we have. Typically, Adobe Color is going to be your default profile. That's not something I knew I could change. But if we click this little down arrow here, you're going to see we have Adaptive Color, which is a new feature. We have Adobe Color is our default. Typically, what I will do now is go down to Adobe Landscape because that is what I use most. I take landscape images, and I found that the Adobe Landscape color profile really adds a nice level of vibrance to the photographs. Now, remember, a color profile is not the same as a preset. I'm editing locally here, so I don't have presets available. And again, when I was a beginning photographer, I used presets a lot. And I can do another video or show you quickly here, but I don't love presets anymore. And I can get into that later, but I like to do my own processing at this point. But color profiles is a whole different thing because that's not applying settings, that's changing the way the colors are read in the photograph. So again, typically I would come down and change this to Adobe Landscape. You can see the changes in Adobe Color versus Adobe Landscape are super, super subtle. But what happens if we go into Adaptive Color here? Look at the difference. It really brings out the foreground. And what Adaptive Color does is change color profiles based on regions of the photograph. If I go down to Adobe Landscape, it's applying the color profile globally to the entire photograph. Adaptive does it a little bit different. It'll apply a different color profile to the sky versus the foreground to balance it all out. I'm a big fan of this. This is really working out for me. So what I would do here is choose the adaptive color profile because it works best for this specific image, and definitely play with it in your photography and with different images to see which ones work best for you. But a little thing to keep in mind here is that if you choose adaptive color, make sure you do a couple things first if you're going to do them to your photo. So if you were going to do some remove features, let's say you wanted to remove this stack of rocks or something, or whatever, maybe you have something else in your photograph that you want to remove, use that remove tool first and get anything in your image that you don't want there out of there before you apply the color profile. If you do it first and then remove, then the profile won't automatically update, and so you'll be left with some weird shadows and possibly some artifacting. You can go in and manually update it, but it would just make more sense to do any removing that you want to do first and then apply the profile. The other thing that you might want to think about doing first is if you were going to apply the lens blur feature. I'm not going to do it here because there's just not really a background to focus on and blur out. But if we're doing portrait photography where we have, an up close face and we want to apply some bokeh to the background or something, then do that first and then apply your adaptive profile. Like I said, otherwise it just messes things up and it won't look right. So do those things first and then choose your adaptive profile. And then once you're there, then you can edit as usual. You can even choose the amount of adaptive color that you want to apply. In this case, I might even go up a little bit because I really like how that looks. And then I can edit it as I normally would. I'd avoid using the auto feature when you're using adaptive color because again, that's just going to change it up in ways that you may not want it to change up. Auto is not meant for adaptive color. And if you click auto, you're going to get a little warning. Yeah, you're going to get a little warning to not use auto and Adobe Adaptive together. So I'm going to just don't hit apply there. This is a feature I'm really enjoying so far on my photography. Um, Here's how it's different from, if I go in, I save this to cloud. So if I just go into cloud and we do presets, the thing I really don't like about presets is it just, For me, it makes the photos incredibly over processed. Like this, for instance, I don't want a photo that looks like that. And I just prefer to go in and create my own. So again, the adaptive color profile option is a color profile, not a preset. You can see a preset will go in and change your um, your sliders, and the color profiles don't do that. So I would just be cautious about using presets. I used them a lot when I was starting out, but I also used them to really learn what the settings did. So I might click a preset and then just go in and explore and just look at what settings it changed. In this case, it doesn't change very much, but this is really how I learned how to process, and so I will credit the preset function a lot for that. However, using it to actually process a photo has not been very successful for me, and maybe you love it, and that's totally cool, but don't love presets. However, I am loving this feature of Adobe Color Profiles. We go back into local here and just this is all photos from my trip to Antelope Canyon in Arizona. That's the canyon right in there. So um, I'm just going through and editing a whole bunch of these, as you can see here. So I have some serious favorite photos here, but I'm going to get to those a little bit later. But I'll tell you what, this adaptive color seems to be a bit of a game changer, at least for me. I'm really enjoying how it's really making these photos pop and bringing out the colors in certain areas. So play with it, see what you think. Thank you, Adobe, for this one. This seems like a really great upgrade. All right, thank you for watching. Take care, and I will see you on the next video.